So we'll be talking about designing a data model. We'll be talking about the pivot table, what is called data types, how to understand the pivot table, its objects, how to go for aggregation function, what is the use of basic pivot table options, how to define a KPI matrix, how to design a dashboard using form control, and completing a dashboard using pivot table. So these are something we are going to complete. It will take 45 minutes to 1 hour maximum to finish this particular session. So I'm going to start here with your file, which is given in raw data. I just copy this file, which is called basic pivot table. I'm going to paste to your manipulation folder. The moment I open this file here, it is going to have multiple sheets in this file. The sheets are nothing. It is a course content which is given to be completed today. Now, the first thing I want to do here, I have given a sales data. Can you see this, guys? The sales data. It is given as what? Order date, order year, order month, order year month, customer ID, the product ID, and how many units they have bought. Is this clear? So this is the table name called as what? Sales data or sales transaction table. Then you have given a customer table where it is given customer ID with the customer first name, customer last name, gender, customer email ID. It is given the date of birth, the age of the customer, which is given here, the phone number, as well as it is given as what? Your city, state, and the region details about the customer, which is given. There is another table which is given the product table, which is given by product ID, the product category, the subcategory, the product actual name, the price of the product, and how much is being sold out in the market. That is also given as the market price here. Can you see this, guys? Right? So this is what the data which is given. Now, when it comes to the data model, what does it mean? We have to take your sales data here, right? I copy this, I go to this, and I right click, paste spatial values, and I say transpose. And I call this data name as what? Sales underscore data. Right, guys? Sales underscore data, which is going on here. Right. Now, you also have given right click, paste spatial values, and say transpose. This is all about your customer master table. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Right? Then you have
Yes, sir.
given here something called as your product master table. So I can call this paste spatial values, and I can say transpose. This is called product master table. Now, how to go for joining these two table here? You'll be joining this table. It is based on your customer ID. To join this table, you'll go for making this. It is going by customer ID. Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Then you'd also make this relationship to this. It is by product ID, right? So ultimately, what output you're going to get here? You're going to get these many columns from where? This, and you will get this customer informations, and from this is going to customer table. Now, where you want to keep this all informations besides to your, so this is called data normalization. Same thing for product related information. You can copy and paste it here. Yes or no? And you must keep this
Yes, sir.
information besides to what? Product ID. Yes or no? Ultimately, you have to create a new field that is called expression. What's the expression? You will say the EU needs to be multiplied with what? Product price. Yes or no? Are you getting this, guys? This is how you need to go for designing data model. So how to go for designing this data model using your Excel? What will you do here? You'll copy this here to get this customer related informations. You'll copy it here and paste it. Yes or no? Where you want to keep those columns besides to your customer ID. How to get these values? You write what? We look. What is the lookup value? This. What's the table array? This is my table array. Yes or no? To get the position, what will you use here? Match. Match of what? First name over what? Your lookup array. Right? Then you will say 0 and you will say bracket close. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Yes or no? What are you
Yes,
going to
sir.
fix in this case? Column E is fixed. Column A to K is also fixed. You'll make row 1 is fixed. And you'll also make lookup array A1 to K1 is also fixed. Now you can easily drag this and to the down. The date of birth will come as what? Number of days. You need to convert this to what? Date format. Does it make sense to all of you? Right? Moving on to this, if you want to get this product related information, where do you want to keep these columns? You should be keeping this column besides to product ID. Right, guys? How to get these values? We look up. What is the lookup value? This. What's the table array? You'll go for these many columns. Understood? You will use match function. Match of what? Category. Over what? Over. This is the header. Are you getting this, guys? What is going to fix in this case? Column P. What is going to fix in this case? What is going to fix in this case? What is going to fix in this case? You can go to the right, to the down to pull these informations. Yes or no? Right? So how to get your sales? What will do now? You'll say units to be multiplied with what? Market price. So this is how you design this output. Now you got the data model output. Yes or no? Now this data model output is going to help you in what regards? You need to understand if I have a data which is given, how to go for utilizing it, right? So this is how we get the data model output. Is this clear to all of you? Now let's understand what is pivot table. It is given a data to you, which is called, I select this data, I call this made underscore Australia is the data range name. What is this data is all about? It is given in Australia. There are lots of pharmaceutical companies where customers are visiting from different states and they're trying to buying the medicines. When they buy the medicines, each and every pharmaceutical stores, they have given this customer one unique identification ID so that they can capture their visit to their store, how many times they visit, how much they spend per visit, everything they want to capture. This is the information is given by customer ID. The company name is what? MedPlus. This customer is what? It's a female customer. What is the age of this customer is coming here? 29 years of age. And which state code they belonging to? Queensland. And how many times they visited to MedPlus and how much they spent, right? This is what the raw data. To summarize this data, we want to use pivot table. What does it mean? Somebody says, hey, from this data, could you please tell me what is the total count of customer? So how to do that? You can select this data from anywhere. You can select your cursor. You can go to insert a pivot table. The moment you insert a pivot table, it's saying select a table or range that you want to create a pivot. It is given that whether you want to create the new worksheet or the existing worksheet. If I have space, I will say existing worksheet and I'll select the location here. Does it make sense? Are you getting it? So what I'm doing here, I created my pivot table. In this pivot table, what you have to do, guys, here, you have to go for, I want to see the count of customers. I'll say customer ID. I will say right click, summarize value as what? As a count. So I can see how many customer base I have. 5,112. Now I want to see how many times they visited. So it is going to, if I bring the number of trips to this, it is automatically taken as what? How many times they visited? 27,139. I want to bring how much they total spend. They spend around 1.6 million dollar, right? So how to present these values? I will say format cell, make it as what? Number with 1000 comma separator. I can also apply the same thing here. Format cell, number with 1000 comma separator. I must apply this here. Format cell. Yes or no? Format cell with what I'll go for? Currency as dollar. Does it make sense? I can rename this to call subscribers. I can call this as visits and I can call this as spent. This is what the overall. But if you want to see this by company level, I need to bring the company into row. I can see the same result is company Y is coming by what? Company wise. What is the count of customer base? What is the total visits? And what is the total spend? This is how we need to summarize. So when you go for creating a pivot table, once you insert the pivot, it will give you all the field list. Are you getting it? Then it's going to give you where to drag to the filter, to the column, to the value field, and to the row level. We'll talk about this very insightful coming classes, which we are going to discuss now. But did you understand why we use pivot table? We use pivot to summarize the data. Understood now? Now moving to the next, I'll be talking about how to go for summarize, how to summarize the data and how to present the data. For example, somebody says, hey, could you please go and give me a view over the company wise? What is the count of customer? You can select this count, summarize by as what? Count here. Yes or no? I can call this column name as what? Subscribers. I can select this here. I can easily present this creating a chart. Yes or no, guys? Everyone, tell me. So I can summarize this data. I can go for making a filter like gender. I can go for selecting the gender as what? I can go for selecting as, let's say, I'm going for selecting only female. I can see female count base. If I select it for male, I can see the male count base. So this is how we can summarize and we can present the data by making charts and filters. We'll talk about more in this example here. We do understand what is this made data? Yes or no, guys? Now the question is coming, how would you go for reading this data? What is very important in pivot table? How to read the data? Now in this data, there is a starting cell reference. Yes or no? What is the starting cell reference? And there is also given as ending cell reference. What is the ending cell reference here, guys? So you have G5113.
113.
What is the data range? A1 to G5113.
511.
What is the range underscore name? If you want to give the range underscore name, you can select this range. Going to the corner, you can write made Australia data. So now the range name is what? Made underscore Australia underscore data. Yes or no, guys? Right? So in this data, if you say number of columns, so how many columns are there in this data? 7. Yes or no? Number of records. So how do you calculate the records? Which is 5112.
5001.
Right? Looking at the data types. So if you talk about this data, copy, paste spatial values, and set transpose. So how would you go for identifying this? What is the data type? You will choose it here. This is what?
Numeric.
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 This is what?
Character.
Character.
Character. This is what?
Character.
Character. This is
Numeric.
called
Numeric.
numeric. And this is called?
Character.
Are you getting this, guys? Everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Understood? So what we see here, we understand how to go for defining your data types. But for pivot, data types are different. When you go for creating a pivot table, your data types are different. Now the question is coming, what is the difference? It could be dimension field or it could be measure field. Now customer ID is going to what? Your measure field, because
Measure field.
you will need to see count of customers. Yes or no? If you talk about company wise, you want to see the count of
Measure
customers. So you will say this is your
Measure.
Dimension.
dimension field. Gender wise, dimension field. But age is such a field which can be a dimension and also can be a measure. Age wise, you can see the count of customer, or minimum age, average age, maximum age, we can go as what? Aggregation. State code is what? Dimension. Number of trees is what, guys? Measure. Because it can be measured as what? The minimum visit, the maximum visit, the total visit, which is sum of visit, or the average visit. Same thing for spend is going to be what? Measure. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good. So now we understand what is called dimension field and what is called measure field. Are you getting this, guys? Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what I will do here, I'll moving to the next. Now we'll have a data reading test. In this data reading, what they have done, they have said, could you please create one age bucket? If the age is greater or equal to 60, call this old age. 50 but less than 60 is called mid old age. More than 50 but less than 50 is called mid age. 30 to 40, mid young age, and less than 30 is going to be young age. So how to go for creating this age bucket? You have to insert a column. You have to add the column name as what? Age underscore bucket. Yes or no, guys? Right? How to put that? If the age is greater or equal to 60, you will call them as what? If the age is greater or equal to 50, you'll call them as what?
Middle age.
Mid old age. Okay. Again, if this age greater or equal to 40, you will call them as what? Mid age.
Mid age.
Again, if this age greater or equal to 30, you will call them as what? Mid young age. Else you will call them as what? You know what, guys? I want to call this young age as A1. I want to call this mid young age as what? A2. I want to call this mid age as what? A3. I want to call this mid old age as what? And I want to call this old age as what? Does it make sense to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Everyone, does it make sense?
Yes,
Do
sir.
you understand how to go for data reading? Perfect. Moving to the next, we'll talk about here how to go for summarizing the data. You know what, guys? Now I have this data. Now I'll have a test. Could you please tell me what is the data type for those field values here? What is the data type? Tell me.
Numeric.
Dimension measure. It is going to be
Measure.
Measure.
this is
Dimension.
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 this is
Dimension.
Dimension.
Age
Dimension
measure.
or measure.
Dimension and measure.
and this is what?
Dimension.
Dimension. Dimension.
This is what?
Dimension.
This is
Measure.
Measure. Measure.
these will help you in Power BI class also. If you understand reading data in Excel, your Power BI is just 2 days class. Trust me, guys. Within 2 days, I'll finish your Power BI into the advanced level also. Okay. Understand Excel very thoroughly. Life is very easy. You are understanding about the data now? Okay, very good. Moving on to the keyword summary, right? If I take this data, kindly go on mute, right? How do you want to summarize the data? Somebody says, could you please take this data and summarize it by what? Dimension. Company wise, you will take customer ID as what? Count. Yes or no? I can also copy the same pivot table, paste it here. Instead of company, I can take gender also. I can also present this instead of gender, I can take it by age bucket wise also. Yes or no? I can also present this by what? State code also. Yes or no, guys? Everyone. Understood? I can copy this entire stuff. I can present it here. Instead of taking this as what? Count, I can say number of trips. I can also remove this count of customer. I can take it as what? Number of trips. I can also take this count of customer. I can take the total spent. Yes or no, guys? Everyone. I can also do this, summarize the data the way I want to do it. So ultimately what we have to do whenever we go for pivot table, we have to select the data, insert a pivot where you have 5 objects. So what are the pivot objects? If somebody's going to ask you guys, what are the pivot objects? Can anyone tell me? There are 5
Filter.
pivot objects. Okay, I'll tell you. One is called pivot field list. Yes or no? Then you have something called filter label. Yes or no? Then you have something called row label. You have something called column label. Yes or no? And finally, there is a value field. Are you getting this? These are what called pivot table objects. Now we'll understand these objects one after another here. So how do you do that? You can copy this data and you can paste it here. Now let's understand row and column label. How to use that? This is the data. Do you understand this, guys? Right? I want to summarize this data. Somebody says that, hey, could you please show me company wise, gender wise count of customer? So the question is company wise, gender wise count of customer. How do you do that? You will create a pivot table in the existing sheet. You can take company into the row label, gender into the column, and customer ID into the value field and summarize value by what? Count. Does it make sense? You can also show the same thing where you can take it by gender into the row label, company into the column label. You can also present this way. But the problem is that if you say company wise, gender wise count of customer, the layout is small. But if you take more value into the column, the layout is bigger. So we need to understand which field to be called in the row, which field to be called in the column. Are you getting this? Understood? Okay. Now tell me, I want to get the value gender and age bucket wise customer base. Shall I bring gender into row level or column level? Row. And age bucket, I will bring it to what? Okay. So now, based on your thing, I go for creating insert and create a pivot table over here. The question is that you want to get what? So gender here, age bucket here, and you want to take as what? Customer ID. And you want to summarize by what? Count. Did you understand how to go for using row and column? Yes or no? We could have done this in a reverse order also. Right click, show pivot field list, bring it age to row and bring gender to column. I can present this way. For me, it is much easier to understand rather looking at this that way. So it is always advisable how to make your pivot more presentable. You need to understand which dimension will go to the row level, which dimension will go to the column level. Never take any column level where you have maximum values. Always bring the maximum unique values to the row level. Understood now? Is this clear to all of you? Very good. Now we'll talk about here pivot with row, column, and filter. What does it mean? For example, I take this data, right? What I did here, I created a pivot table from this data here. In this pivot table, what did I do? I bring my company row label. Understood? I bring my gender into column level. I bring my customer ID into what? As a so value as what? Count. Understood? Now I'm going to take as what? Age bucket into filter. If I go to the age bucket as a filter, how should I go for doing this? If I select it as young age, I can see who are the young age customers. I can go for making a filter here by old age. I can see who are the old age count here. Yes or no, guys? Are you getting this? How to go for summarizing this data using your column, row, and filter with the values. Does it make sense to all? Now we'll talk about here what is called slicer. Copy this data and take it to the pivot slicer here. Can you see this? In this slicer, I did the same pivot table which is going to be coming out here. What pivot I created here? I created this pivot with the company, the gender, as well as customer ID as what? As what? Count. However, instead of getting this age bucket to a filter, I can also in the pivot table, I can go to at the top pivot table analyze is coming where I have a slicer. I can create insert slicer with what? Age bucket. If I do that, rather going and getting a filter out here, I can do the filter. It will also reflect here. You can see the filter by each age bucket. You can see the values here. If you want to go for selecting multiple filter selections, press Control key and select those. Understood? If you want to remove the filter, you can remove the filter like this. You understand the slicer and the filter both are same. Yes or no? Apple. Apple to niga setting. Understood? Now we'll talk about what? What is called pivot slicer connection. We'll talk about pivot slicer connection. So what is called pivot slicer connection? For example, guys, if I go for creating a pivot table here, understood? In this pivot table, I took company wise, gender wise, count of customer. Right? I make it as count of customer. Understood? Now I go for creating another pivot table from this, where I bring company wise, gender wise, the total spend amount. And how do you spend this? How do you present these values? With currency. Yes or no? Now how many pivots are there? 2. This is your pivot 1. This is your pivot 2. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Okay. Now in this pivot 1 and pivot 2, in the pivot 1, what we'll do here? We'll go to make a slicer. I made the slicer for what? Age bucket. You know what, guys? If I select anything that is reflecting to this pivot, does it affect to here? Because this pivot is not connected to this slicer. If you want to give a connection, what will you do? Select this pivot, go to analyze, make a filter connection where you can give this connection to age. Understood? So what is happening here? You can go for selecting this. You can see the reflection is coming for both. Yes or no? Because these both pivots are connected to one slicer only. This is called slicer connection. Clear to all of you? Clear? Okay, perfect. Now we'll talk about what is called classic pivot table layout. Now let me show you what is classic pivot table layout. I created a pivot table like this, where I took my gender and I took my age bucket and I took my customer ID is the count. Can you see this, guys? Got it? Now, how does it look like? It is coming gender below age bucket. The count of customer is coming. How to present these two fields, two dimensions into two different columns? For that, you can right click. You can go to pivot table options. You can go for display and you can choose classic pivot table layout. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Is this clear? How to go for using classic pivot table layout? Now I'll do another example where I take a pivot like this. I take the company, I take the gender, I take the age bucket, and I can bring my customer ID. Can you see this? I can make my customer ID is what? As a count. Clear? Now the question is coming, how to make them separate? What will you do? Display. Understood? Now it is giving you as what? Apollo, right? Female, and this is all coming. Now if you want to make this gap to be filled, what you can do here? You have an option called pivotal options. You can go for layout. You can merge them to the center. Understood? You can present this way also. Pivotal options. Otherwise, what you can do here? Design. You can choose repeat all item labels. But before that, what you have to do? Pivotal options and take the merge. Is this clear? Okay. Now I will talk about what is called get pivot data. What is called get pivot data? For example, guys, I created a pivot table here where I took company, state code wise, customer ID as what? As a count. Somebody says, hey, could you please go get the value for Dr. Reddy's for QLD? I can say equal sign. I can get somewhere in the pivot table. When I get the data from the pivot table, it is giving get pivot reference at the top. Can you see this? But in this data, what you have to change instead of this New South Wales, what you will take here? Now, instead of this GSK, what you will take here, guys? Does it work? Why it is happening so? I don't think it should work, but anyways, I'll check that. It's throwing some error. I don't know, guys. Normally, it is going to give you, it is actually giving this reference by what? By your range, which it should not be coming as a range. But leave that now. I'll show you. But normally, when you go for giving the get pivot, you can give this, and you can also change the value based on this, what values are given here. Okay. So we'll leave this now. We'll check it later. Now, what is called calculated field? Now, let's understand what is calculated field here. So calculated field means, for example, you have given here a pivot table where you got company wise count of customer. You're taking here number of trips, and also you're taking here total spend amount. Can you see this? If you want to calculate spend per visit, what we'll do here? You will say the total spend should be divided by what? Number of trips to get the value here. Yes or no? Rather doing it outside within the pivot, we want to calculate that field. What you can do, you can go to pivot tool analyze. You have field and sets where you can click on calculated field is also not coming here. No, it's not like that. It is actually the calculated field here, which should be active. I don't know why it is not active to my access. Something is wrong in my access. Probably what error I saw in my system, you will not see that error in your system. Something wrong, which has come to my Excel here. Okay. So that is the reason why I'm not able to get this calculated field. Okay, leave that. Now I'll move on to KPIs. So how to identify KPIs from the data, right? KPI stands for what, guys?
Key performance indicator.
Key
performance indicator.
performance indicator, right? So to see this key performance indicator, we need to understand, first of all, looking at this table, identify the dimension versus measure. So customer ID is going to what? A major field. Company is going to what, guys? Dimension field. Gender is what? This is going to dimension and
Major.
major field. Okay. Now age bucket is going to what, guys? State code is also. Now these two will go for measure. When you will go for designing a KPI, designing your KPI matrix, you need to understand this customer ID can be measured by what? Count of customer. Now your age can be measured by what? Mean, max, and average age. Yes or no? Your age, your number of days can be here as what? Sum, mean, max, and average. The total spend is also going to be as what? These are the measures. To define the KPI metrics, what are the KPI metrics you would be showing? You would be showing this number of customers. Yes or no? Right? Their average age. These are what? Measures. So we'll talk about this as what? Measures. Right? What else you can go for? Total visits. This is also measure. Yes or no? Now, total spend. These also what? Measures. Then spent per visit is also going to what? Measures. Now these measures you want to present by what? Some dimensions. Dimension by what? Company. Company dimension. Yes or no, guys? You can show these measures by what? State code. Yes or no, guys, everyone? You can also show these measures by what? By gender and by age bucket. Shall we consider this way, guys? Understood to all of you? Right? So how to go for presenting this KPI matrix? We have to KPI matrix, we have to design this way. First, you select all these measures, right click, paste spatial values, and you can say transpose. You want to show these overall measures by field called overall. Yes or no? Then you have to present this by what? By your company. For the company, if you go for selecting the company here, going to the right, you can paste this company and say data with remove duplicates. Right? 1 minute, guys. I have to attend this call. So this is how I got the dimension for what? For my company. Moving on to the next, we'll be going for doing it for what? The next is state code. Right. For this state code, what will you do? I copy this and they'll say data to remove duplicates. Copy this and paste it here. Right. Then I'll go for gender, data to remove duplicates. I'll call this dimension as what? Gender as well. Then the final one, which I want to take it as what, guys? Your age bucket. So I would be copying and pasting this here to get as what? Your age bucket. Okay. So this is how you have designed your KPI matrix. Understood, guys? So what you call this? These are what, guys? Measures. Yes or no? These are all your dimensions. So you can select this, you can present in a tabular form. While going to fill this, what will you do here, guys? Selecting this data, you will insert a pivot. Where do you want to insert the pivot? Over here. Yes or no? Then you will take customer ID as what? As summarized value as a count. Same way you'll go for number of trips. You'll take the age also here. And this age part you want to show as what?
Average.
Average age. I'll go for spend amount also here. So call this as your subscribers, your average age, your widgets, and you call this as spend. Whatever output you got it here, what will you do with this output? Selecting this, make it format cell as a number with what? 1000 comma separator. You can do a format cell, make it as a currency with dollar format. You can copy this, you can paste it here, present this by what? Company. You can copy this and paste it here, present this by what? Gender. You can copy this and paste it here, you can present this by what? Age bucket. Understood? So how to fill this off at the overall level? You can copy and paste it. For spend per visit, since our calculated field is not active, what will I do here? I will just spend amount divided by, yes or no? Now, if I want to go for presenting by company wise, I can copy and paste it. I can drag this also. Yes or no? If I want to go for presenting by state code, okay, I have not added by state code. I can copy, I can paste this pivot, I can remove to state code. Yes or no, guys? Then I can copy this and I can paste it here. Understood? Then I can go for copying this data at the gender level. I can also copy this data and paste it here. Understood, guys, everyone? Got it? This is called
sir.
KPI matrix. Making sense to all of you guys?
Yes, sir.
What is
Yes,
KPI
sir.
matrix? Okay. Okay, good. Now we'll be, so we will be presenting this through a dashboard. So how to go for creating a dashboard, taking the same data. So I'll just copy this data here. Is very important, guys. What? First, get the data, identify the KPIs and present the KPIs using what? Right. So first I'll go for creating my measures out here, right? So what I'll do here, I take customer ID. I'll be taking this customer ID as what? As a count. Then I would be going for age. I'll be taking age as what? Summarize value as average age. Then I'll be taking it as what? Number of trips, and I'll say spend amount. So how to call this? You will call this as what, guys? Subscribers. You will call this as what? Averages. You will call this as what? Widgets. You will call this as what? Spend. Are you getting this? Selecting this, you will do a format cell, making at number. You'll make it as what? Format cells with what?
Currency.
Does it make sense? Now, you want to present this by company wise. You want to copy this and present this by what? Your state code. Then you want to copy this and present this by what? Your age or gender. You can also present the same thing by what? Age bucket. Also, you can go ahead and present these values. It is both by gender and the age bucket. Remove rest all and just show the subscriber base. Are you getting this, guys? How to make them separate column? Pivot table options, display as a classic pivot table layout. How to make it repeat? Design layout with repeat all item labels. Now this is what the data which is given to you, right, guys? Let me see what is happening if I say equal sign, get the value from here. Again, it's coming with range. Leave it now. Understood? So now, if I want to go for creating a dashboard, I'll first design with my header. I will say made performance dashboard. This is what the title of my dashboard. I make font as white, increase the font like this. What are the KPIs I want to add here? First, number of subscribers. Yes or no? Everyone. I'll copy this. I'll post it. This is going to what, guys? The average age. This is what I'll be put it here. This is going to what? total
Number of
widgets. Yes or no, guys? They'll copy this and paste it here. This is going to be total,
right.
and this is going to be in what? Dollar. Now, this is going to what, guys? Spend per visit. Understood? So I don't have to do all. I just have to select this to this as going to be merge. And this part, I'll format paint and apply. Clear to all? Now below this, I'll also copy this. How to get values to this area? What will do here? You'll say equal sign, get the value from here. You'll say equal sign, get the value from here. Equal sign, get the value from here. Equal sign, get the value from here. Now select this format and apply it here. Are you getting this? So how to get this value? Equal sign, get the cell positions. Equal sign, get the value from here. Equal sign, get this value here. And you can also say equal sign, get the value from here. How to calculate the spend per visit? This is spend should be divided by visit. You can select all, middle align, increase the font and make it bold. Yes or no, guys? You can select this all, make this as red color background, font as white. You try to present this into what? In a tabular look. Understood? Now, going back to here, what you can do, add slicer. What slicer will go for? You select it by company, you select by gender, you select it by age bucket, you can select it by state code. So how many slicers you have selected now? 5. So how to go for presenting the slicers? Rather selecting this way, you want to make this as 9 columns. So you can drag them to the right here. Yes or no? Can you see this, guys? You can also bring as what? After this, you can go for state code. You can make it to what? 7. You can also select this and you can drag this to right. Is this clear? Now you will also have what? Slicer for age bucket. Just make it this way and present. You can also go here, just make this present and this. Are you getting this, guys? So how to go for presenting these values over here? Now, this, if you select, it will affect to all. Apollo, New South Wales, for female customer base, young age, it shows the filter value here. Yes or no? So this is how we can adding this filter to the slicers. Now, for this value, which is coming here, we want to create some kind of chart. So how do you go for putting this as a chart? First of all, we cannot, the problem is here what? Since we say equal sign, we cannot get the value from because it's showing this as a range. Normally it should not take range. In my system it's taking range, but in your system it will not take range because I have some issues in my Excel. I'm not able to see a couple of things which you can see. For example, calculated field, it is not active for me, but in your system it is active. Something wrong in my Excel. I need to correct this. But while going for this dashboard,
Sir, sorry to interrupt.
yes.
Why we are not getting that option? Because while creating the pivot table, we have selected that option. The last line option is there. So that is why it is not coming. Select
No,
the-
you're saying the pivot or data model which has been selected. That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah. Because of that, the
No, it
calculated
should
field
work.
is not coming for
It's,
me.
it should work in both the cases as well. Because this upgradation happened to Excel. After that, this is not working. Earlier,
Okay.
it used to work. Otherwise, how will you go for designing a data model towards your calculation? You have to do everything in one, right? So something wrong. So what's he said? If you go for creating a pivot, can you see this is selected? Yes or no? Doesn't matter whether it's selected or not. It should work. But it is not working in the newer version of Excel which has come in. Okay. So now, if you say create this pivot, big company, what's he saying? Now, if you go to it is active. Why? Because the data model is not active, but it should be active whether your data model is active or not. in the earlier version of Excel, like Office 2021, 2019, it was active in both the cases. Since Office 365 was also active, but since they have added some new upgradation, that is why it is not working. Now, even if after this, if I say equal sign, get the value, this time also it's showing range. Can you see this? This range should not be coming. I can guarantee in your system, if you do it, you will not see the range. Something wrong in the Excel. We are not able to do it now. Anyways, so guys, did you understand how to go for creating this dashboard? I will do the dashboard in another laptop, okay, on your project class when I'll take it. So at this point of time, this is how we design this pivot table towards designing the dashboard. You understood the basic concept of it. Yes or no? Okay. Now we'll talk about what is called your format control and how to go for utilizing this as a combo dashboard. Okay. Have you done this before, guys? What is format control? No, you haven't done. Okay. So you have done in the class, but there is no assignments regarding the same. Okay, no problem. I'll do it here. I go for inserting a pivot table here now. Okay, guys. In this pivot table, what did I do? I take customer ID, I take the state code, and I bring my customer ID here, right? Company, state code wise, I take the count of customer. Can you see this? Now what I did, I copy this data and I paste it outside this pivot table. So this is how it is given, company, and this is state code wise, the count of customer is given. Can you see this? Right? Now, what I want to do here, for this all state code, I just copy, paste, spatial, and say values and transfers. Can you see this? Then I go to your developer tab, where you go to insert, and there is something called form control and ActiveX control. In the form control, I select this combo box. Can you see this? In this combo box, I right click, I do a format control. In this input range, I select these values, including one blank. Clear now? Now, then I make this cell link to AE1. So what will happen here? I can see the drop downs are coming. If I select ACT, it's showing as what? 1 here. Can you see this, guys? Everyone? If you select this by New South Wales, if you select this by NT, you can select this by QLD, you can select this by Victoria, you can select this by West Australia. Understood? Everyone, right? Now, why I created this combo box, I'll let you know now. I will say index. This is my array. Okay? Clear now? Now, row would be 1 and column would be what? This. What value is going to come in? Are you getting this? Or I can say index. Now I select this is what my index value. Row is 1 and column index is going to be what? Does it make sense? Are you getting this, guys? So now if I select it to ACT, it will also select ACT here. If I select it to Victoria, it is going to select Victoria here. Now for this, I want to go for this company wise. I want to get the, I will like this. I'll say index. This is going to be my array. Row 1, column is going to be this. So what is fixed in this case? This, and I can drag this to the down. Understood? So now if I select this, I can create a chart like this. Now once I get the chart, I say add data labels, remove data labels, format data series, reduce the gap width. Does it make sense? If I select it to NT, it's showing NT's performance. If I select it to West Australia, it's showing West Australia performance. So this is getting the value here. This is impacting to the index values. And over this index, we have selected this chart. So when you select this, it will also affect to all three together. That is how we go for creating form control towards creating a dashboard. Understood? Right? Okay. Practicals. There is a account performance data is given. Can you see this, guys? Account number, customer ID, loan type, loan approved amount, loan outstanding, bank balance recovered, delinquency, delinquent days, as well as origination FICO score is given, right? Another table is given as what? Customer information, where it is by customer ID, first name, last name, gender, date of birth, age, state code, and region information is given. Now there is something called bureau information, customer ID, social security number, phone number, default flag, and current FICO score is also given, right? So what is being asked to you? The task one says create something called balance rate, which is loan outstanding over loan approved amount. So you will create a new column called balance rate in percentage. Yes or no? How would you calculate that? It is the loan outstanding over loan approved. Can you see this? How to present this? Format cell with percentage format. It's a real-time project class. Next is what? Create a delinquency bucket as 0 means current, 1 to 0 to 30 days. 1 to 30 days means X days, 31 to 60 days means X plus 1, and so on to 180 plus days means charge off. So where you will apply this? You will apply this over this. That is called delinquency bucket. So how to create this delinquency bucket? You will write here, if delinquency days greater than equals to 180 days. You will call them as what? If delinquency days greater or equal to 150 days. You will call them as what? X plus. Again, if this is greater or equal to 120 days, you will call them as what? X plus 4 days. Again, if this is greater or equal to what? 90 days, you will call them as what? Again, if this is greater or equal to 60, we will call them as what? Again, if this is greater or equal to 30, you'll call them as what? X plus 1 days. If this is greater than 0, you'll call them as what? X days. Else current. How many brackets? These many brackets. So you should be showing as 180, 150, 120, not greater or equal to 90 days, 60 days, and this should be 30 days. Understood? If you do that, you can see your delinquency bucket has been created. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Right? Now, what does it says? Create a delinquency status. So how to go for creating a delinquent status? If it is, if the delinquency days is 0, then you'll call them as what? So you want to create delinquent status. So how to create this? If this is equal to 0, then non-delinquent, else D. Yes or no? ND or D. Understood now? Right. Create from the customer table, create one age bucket, old age, mid, and young age, and gender female as F as female, M as male. So how to do this? Age bucket will create here. How to start that? If the age is greater than equal to 60, you will call them as what? Old age. Again, if this age greater equal to 50, right? You'll call them as what? Mid old age. Again, if this age greater than equal to 40, you'll call them as what? Mid age. Again, if this is greater equal to 30, you will call them as what? Mid young age. Else you will call them as what? Young age. Understood now, guys? Next, create gender, female, F to female, and otherwise it is male. So what do you do here? Control F. Wherever F comes, you replace this by what? Female. Same way, wherever M comes, you replace this by what? Male. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Everyone? Clear? Now next is what? Go to the bureau information, clean out the social security number and the phone number. How to clean the social security number and phone number? Control F, wherever the hyphen is coming, and replace this with what? Right? Same thing. Control F, wherever the hyphen is coming, replace with. You can use substitute function, but why should I go for this if I have Control F and replace? Then it's saying design a data model with account performance master file. So the final output would be, so you have to design the data model by what? Connecting these all three tables. So how to go for designing the data model now? So you'll be calling this as what? Data model, right? So how to go for? Okay. What you'll do here, you will copy all these columns which you have it. Yes or no? We'll paste it now. We'll paste it here. Everyone understood? Now, what information you need from customer? And how would you get that to here? And where should you keep these columns? Besides to? So you have to do it here. How to get this value? Connecting to what? Yes or no? Then match function. Match of what? Over what? Right? Are you getting this? Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no? Now how to get this bureau informations? You have to get as what? Get the current flag only. Okay. So you just have to get current FICO score. So how do you get this? We look up. What's the lookup value? Over what? Which is the column for this score? Does it make sense to all of you? Right? So this is how I created my final output. So I'll say format cell, make it as number with 0 decimals. Okay. So guys, we have done this data ready. Okay. Task 2. Get total number of accounts, total outstanding, total number of accounts by delinquent status, and total outstanding by delinquency status. How to do that? You'll go for creating a pivot table after creating this, right? So how to get the total number of accounts, right? It will show as what? Count. Understood? So this is called number of accounts. Clear? Now these number of counts you want to present here. Present by what? Your delinquency status. You'll also show this is the count as well as you will show total outstanding they have. Yes or no? So this is called total outstanding in what? Dollar. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Format cell, make it as a currency with dollar. What the task 2 says that? Done. Now summarize the data by accounts performance master file where you want to show count of account, the total balance by a risk segment. Do we have a risk segment is given here? Acha, there is a risk segment we need to add. Okay, it's a hectic task, but yes, we have to do it. I hope you guys can do it. Yes or no? Have you done this example in the class? Huh? Hmm. There's a rule that we have to apply, right? So it's a lengthy process, but anyways, I cannot do it now. Okay. Okay, so that is simple. If you can create this risk segmentation, you can do this. Okay, let me show you how to go for risk segmentation. The risk segmentation is that I will look for the balance rate. Can you see this, guys? The balance rate, if I make a filter, it starts from what? 10% to 90%. So who are the risky customer, right? So you can create something called balance segment. So how would you call high balance, mid balance, low balance? If this is greater or equal to 50%, you will call this as what? High balance. If this is greater or equal to 20%, right? You will call this as what? Mid balance. Else you will call this as what? Does it make sense? Right. Now you can make something called risk segmentation. Okay. So sorry, this is called a score delta. What is score delta? This is the current score and that is the old score, right? Current score over old score -1. That means it is saying 15% down. Yes or no? Guys, can you see this? If the current score has gone down to the previous score, it's a risky customer. Yes or no? So we'll call this here score segmentation. How do you go for score segmentation? In the interview, you'll say that when we take the bank data, we do this type of analysis, right? If doesn't matter, if this is less than 0%, then we call this as what? Low score, right? Else we'll call this as what? Good score. Okay. Understood now, guys? Now we'll go for a segmentation based on these three factors. Okay. So I say pay spatial values and this. I select this here and I try to data with remove duplicates. So this is the maximum combination I see here. Yes or no? Tell me, guys, how to go for getting risk segment? What comes to your mind? Mid balance x plus 1 days and it is coming as low score. What do you say? Guys, how do you go for presenting this? First of all, wherever it is coming current, what do you say?
No risk.
No risk. You will say no risk. So you put no risk to what? All this current first. I do it manually for some time. Okay. Now, if the balance is low, let's do this way. If the low balance, right? Low balance and they are falling into this bucket. What do you say? Low risk. Yes or no? Right. If the balance is mid, how to treat them? It is called mid risk. Yes or no? This still mid risk. Still mid risk. But now this is called mid risk. But the moment is going to this, it is called high risk. See, this is the business rule will come to you. You don't have to do it. And I'm just trying to give it here. High risk, and high risk. Okay. Business will give you that. There is something called rule, and this rule will go to the machine learning. Okay. So this is the rule is given. I'm just creating this rule in front of you. You just understand this is the rule. Business will give it to you. Now, for this high balance, if it is charge off, we call this as critical. Yes or no? Are you getting this? Now, if it is high balance X days, it is going to be high risk. Yes or no? If it is going for X plus 2, this is also high risk. If it is coming X plus 3, this is going to be critical. Rest all, we have to define this as critical. Yes or no, guys? No, this is going to be high risk. Rest all is critical. Up to X plus 2, I'm saying high risk. X plus 3 onwards is going to be what? Critical. Yes or no? So this is how I created my segment. Got it? Now, what I'll do here, I'll create a unique combination. How to create the unique combination? This, ampersand this, ampersand to this. Yes or no? While I want to get the risk segmentation here, I'll make a VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP based on what? This, ampersand to what? This, ampersand to what? This. To what? These two columns and 0. If you drag this down, you get this output is coming. Everyone. Understood? Are you getting this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now, answer this question. You need to find out total base by loan type, delinquency bracket, and risk segment. So how to do this? So you will take this data, insert another pivot table where you will take the loan type. Can you see the loan type is given this? Then you will take as what? A risk segmentation. Can you see this risk segmentation is coming? Then you can take as what? Count of account. Can you see this? Then you can take as what? Your total outstanding balance. Okay. Now how to separate them out? Tabular form, repeat all item labels. You can show this way. So which one you want to go for making this first? Move this to the beginning. Move this to what? To the down. Move this to the end. Understood? So you will say this should be moving to the up. This should be moving to the up. Now you see this output is coming. Clear? So what we did first, we took the data, we cleaned the data, we transformed data, we processed data, then we designed data model. After designing the data model, we follow the business insights. Based on these insights, we summarize the data using pivot table. Did you understand the importance of pivot table? We can also go ahead and add slicer to this. What slicer I can add this here? By age bucket. I can add this slicer by what? The gender. Do you see somewhere gender is coming? I can also add this by what? The state where they're belonging to. Yes or no? I can put these all conditions to pull my data. So, okay, I don't know why it is happened this way. Anyways, for this state, for female, for mid age, I can find out this way. I can remove this slicer to present this as well. Yes or no, guys? Understood? So we have completed now the base pivot. Now we are going for the advanced pivot table. Okay, I'll quickly finish the advanced pivot table. No need to worry. We have done this entirely. Okay, so now